Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Willie's live stream of doom, and I am with the cool yet calculated, caffeinated wolf, Andrew.
Don't have to accuse me of being cool. Calculated, maybe calculated.
Hey, it's alliteration, man. Come on.
No, I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it.
Shut up and go with it. Just shut up and go with it.
I can appreciate it.
But as my guest and possibly more, I cannot make any guarantees, but possibly more. And one of the things we're going to talk about, and the big thing, we got plenty of good stuff to talk about. And the first thing, though, is who is our favorite cinematic Spider-Man? Now, when we're going in this, we are not counting Into the Spider-Verse. We're counting live action. And I'm going to pose it to you. Who is your Spider-Man? And make your case.
Well, I'm one of the black sheep of the internet. My favorite Spider-Man is Andrew Garfield's in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Now, there are many reasons for this, not the least of which is that it is, as a massive Spider-Man comic book fan for decades now, and I have the long boxes to prove it, as well as a wealth of digital comics as well, just so I can read them whenever and wherever. He is objectively, I don't use that word lightly, the most accurate translation from comic book Amazing Spider-Man to film. Live action film. Now, there are more accurate representations of the character, or at least equally accurate representations of the character. I would say that the PS4 exclusive Spider-Man game that came out year before last year, that is probably arguably the best in many ways.
I've heard it was.
In terms of just live action film, nothing comes even close to Andrew Garfield's portrayal. And part of the reason for that is because Andrew Garfield came into it as a fan. And as a fan who has the ability to portray what he's been a fan of. It's one thing to be a fan, right? And enjoy something, but not everybody can then translate that into being that very thing, the same representation of that. I could say that I'm a fan of Batman. I wouldn't be able to play Batman on screen. I have acting training, but that character wouldn't translate for me. Andrew Garfield came in as a fan, and he had a passion for the character, and it showed in his performance. It showed because he had a very raw performance. Every single emotional beat in both of the films. Now, there are flaws with both of them, more so Amazing Spider-Man 2. We can pick that apart all we want. But as far as just the actors' performances, not even just Andrew Garfield's, but we'll focus on him because the question is my favorite Spider-Man character. Every single emotional beat was hit perfectly. I have never seen in any superhero film, I will throw out any superhero film out there, whether it's the DC expanded universe, whether it's the MCU, Raimiverse, whatever you want. I'll go blow to blow. Because Andrew Garfield's emotional performance and the weight that he put on each of the emotional beats in those films was absolutely incredible. And that's very important for the character because the character grows through the emotional turmoil that he's gone through. It's one of the reasons that I had issues with MCU Spider-Man so much, because he doesn't have it. It doesn't exist. He's big sad because Tony Stark died.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But Peter Parker has some key tenets and pillars to his character, and they're all emotional based. One of which is the death.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to add Mary to the screen, but I want to.
Aha!
I wanted to stop to give you the heads up, so it's not like all of a sudden. Hello, Mary.
Do you know how to switch it to the widescreen, darling?
Is it that one?
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
That way you're not looking at portions of people's faces.
Well, I mean, dude, it's portions of my face are probably much better looking than the full face.
Oh, don't be silly.
Oh, no. Okay.
Get out of here.
Sorry. All right. I'm sorry, Andrew. Please continue with what you're saying. I didn't mean. I'm mean to cut you off.
Trust me, you can cut me off to bring Mary in anytime.
Okay. Well, I want to.
That is an excuse.
Oh,
that is a viable excuse.
Actually, I have another guest as well. I have Mr. Tom from
Hey,
Midnight's Edge.
what is up, Tom?
Hello.
Hello.
Just so, because before I get back to Andrew again, so our question is who's your favorite live action movie Spider-Man? We're not counting into the Spider-Verse, but Andrew was giving her his view, and it was Andrew Garfield.
Oh wow.
Okay, it's okay if it's the same one, but all right.
No, actually, it's not. Go ahead and finish,
That doesn't
Andrew.
surprise me that it's not, honestly, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going.
No, keep going. Sorry for cutting you off.
Don't worry about it, Willie. So what I was touching on was that Andrew Garfield's performance had a raw emotional weight to it. And the reason why that's important is because the key tenets of Peter's character and his development and growth, right? He has a character arc, and that's essential to his character in him actually assuming the full mantle of being Spider-Man and accepting that, with great power comes great responsibility. If you remove the emotional weight of the things that make him that character, he's not that character. So one of those is the death of Uncle Ben. Now, people can complain and say, well, we didn't need to see Uncle Ben die again. Okay, fine. But maybe we did or we didn't. But we didn't acknowledge it really in the MCU. And that's a big problem. Instead, we replaced it.
No, it's been acknowledged.
Yeah, we kind of did acknowledge it in the MCU. I'll cut you off there, and I will insert that it was acknowledged because he says, look, he said it poorly and it was a mouthful and it wasn't executed well, but he essentially reiterated with great power comes great responsibility. When you are the person with the power and the bad things happen and you don't do anything, the bad things happen because of you, right? Uncle Ben is acknowledged. He recognizes the weight of the responsibility that's on his shoulders because he has these powers. I don't feel like we needed to go back through Uncle Ben's death for a third time on screen.
We had a scene with Hot Aunt May too, where they talk about missing Uncle Ben as well.
Well, we didn't, as I was saying,
I cut you off. I'm sorry.
We didn't need to see it necessarily, but there was no weight to it being brought up. And instead, in Homecoming, they kind of supplanted that with him screwing up in the eyes of Tony Stark. And so if Peter did really have that emotional turmoil and learning with great power comes great responsibility through Uncle Ben's death. And again, it's a key tenet, key pillar of the character of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. Basically erased that by him going through essentially what we would assume to be kind of the same thing with screwing up in his new father figure's eyes, essentially. That's one of the things. Mm-hmm. And the other is Andrew Garfield's attitude as the character. Now, I've heard a lot of arguments that he was too cool of a Peter Parker. I don't know what year everybody here went to high school, but when I was in high school, skater kids that took pictures were not the cool kids. Sure, Andrew Garfield's a good-looking guy. There's no denying that. But there's nothing that says that Peter Parker can't be a good-looking guy. He is far from the cool kid. He routinely stumbles and stammers over his words if he's talking to a pretty girl. Even when he's in Oscorp and talking with Dr. Connors, this is his wheelhouse, right? Science. And that's another thing that's important to touch on. Peter's a scientist first and foremost. He even is stuttering and stammering over his words when he's talking in his element, right? And that's because he has that kind of awkwardness to him. He's not by any stretch of the imagination the cool kid, even when he's in his element. And so Andrew Garfield performed that part perfectly. And then the other part that's important to that is the flip side. And that's when he's in the suit. He's quippy. He's got an attitude. That's incredibly important. He is supposed to be a bit of I guess for lack of a better term, a bit of a jackass when he's in the suit. He does that both for himself to keep his own mind straight while he is in the midst of combat, as well as to throw his enemies off. That's why he's always throwing out the quips.
Right.
That's why he's always being a bit of a prick.
It's probably a bit easier to do it when you have that anonymity there as well.
And that's part of it.
Yes. So no, I mean, look, I don't disagree that Andrew Garfield's depiction of Peter Parker, he was a bit of a geek. I would say I understand the argument that he was a cool kid because he was a little handsome, I think, for a lot of people's taste, and he did have an air of arrogance about him, even as Peter Parker. And so you kind of felt that a little bit. I do understand that argument, though, even though I don't necessarily agree with it. So I'm not going to argue with you on that point, but I would say that Tom Holland's Spider-Man does a great job of embodying both. So I'm giving Andrew the tick. He's literally twitching over there.
Okay, well, Mary, why? Okay, well, how do you think that Tom Holland, has both those?
Well, look, you see him. He's an absolute nerd, right? He's an absolute geek, and that's depicted well, right? But we go on a little bit of a different journey with him. We get to bypass a lot of the previous stuff in terms of Uncle Ben and things like that. We get to bypass that a bit because we've seen it so many times. But you still get the sense that he's a geek and he's a nerd. He's at a special school, literally for geeks and eggheads, right? And so that's not left out, that's not untouched, that's not completely ignored when it comes to Peter Parker. But we're following a different kind of story with him. His desire to become an Avenger, his desire to prove himself, to prove that he's able to take on this kind of responsibility, right? It's where he fits within this world. I certainly think that we don't lose him being Peter Parker because of any of that. I don't believe we've lost any essential elements. We're just going on a different story, and there are lots of different iterations of Peter Parker throughout the years that you can see. And so I don't feel like, I'm not saying that he's a better. Okay, I'm not saying that I think that he's the best Spider-Man or the best Peter Parker. I think that he is all around overall. I would say he is fantastic, and I won't go to the mat for him, but in terms of against a different Spider-Man, but I will say that he's far more than serviceable. He does a good job, and I enjoy the stories, and I don't feel like we've lost anything, and if anything, I feel like we've gained a great overall overarching Peter Parker and Spider-Man overall. So
okay, I'm curious, Tom, what's your opinion?
Spider-Man 2, the Raimi one, is probably the best Spider-Man movie overall, but I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, in my opinion.
Andrew.
Yeah. Okay.
And I fucking hate Andrew Garfield. I'm sorry. I hated that Spider-Man. I hate that movie. I hate it. Like Kevin Smith was right. He said he's on the phone the whole movie. When you ain't even got Kevin Smith kissing your movie's ass, then something's wrong.
No, that's a good sign, because Kevin Smith will sign off on even a steaming pile of dog shit as long as it's comic book related. He gets overhyped over literally anything.
Yeah,
but he didn't over Amazing Spider-Man, though. That's the thing.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't like what is more accurate to the comic book presentation of the character, that's his problem.
Okay. So this is why I really wanted to go last, because I wanted to get a feel for the room. Was because I have, like, there are aspects of, so I like so with Tobey Maguire, I liked the fact that they got someone who was like, he basically was like, oh yeah, this guy plays nerds, we're gonna have him play nerds. And it's like, and I understood why they didn't make him as quippy as he usually was, because it's like they didn't want, this was a new thing, and they didn't want to turn off normies. So it was like that. I kind of, it's like, all right, I kind of can give you a pass. But I do like, my thing with Andrew Garfield was I liked how quippy he was. I liked him as Spider-Man. As Peter Parker, I was not as convinced, but I did like but I enjoyed it. And the thing is and I'm gonna probably get more hate than you.
No one's gonna get more hate than me.
No,
Trust
no,
me,
no.
I'm well aware where I sit on the internet when it comes to the live action Spider-Man films. But people are free to have their own opinion and be incorrect.
Andrew,
of course.
Andrew, hold my beer.
I'd love to because I already finished mine because of what I'm dealing with here.
It's all right. I actually liked the world they were setting up in Amazing Spider-Man 2. While I hated the stupid dubstep to Electro.
I can't disagree with that. I just don't like dubstep in general.
I need a fuck this shit I'm out button.
Sorry, I don't.
I'm kidding.
I know. When I figure this thing out more, then I will do that.
I'm kidding.
But I liked the fact that they were basically. It was like evil. Like it was like the evil corp was making all these monsters, and all these monsters were coming from tech derived from there. I liked that. I really enjoyed that fact. I really enjoyed that aspect because it was very pulp. It was very like one of the things. There's a few things for me. It's like if you want a good Spider-Man story, it has to have like themes of a feel of horror and a feel of pulpy comics, because those are the two things that Spider-Man was kind of birthed from. And it had that sci-fi pulpiness with the Oscorp angle. I will say this. I know a lot of people were pissed off with Meth Mouth Green Goblin Jr.
I don't. If we want to go into picking apart Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's an entirely different argument.
Yeah.
My argument that I'm making is, and I'll let you continue in 2 seconds.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting off track.
No
what
worries.
I'm saying is like I liked his world better. I liked Andrew Garfield's world better. I liked his take on Spider-Man better. I like Tobey Maguire in kind of being more that pure nerd. I didn't find I am a huge nerd, but I even was kind of looking at that. I was like, oh, come on, man. Nah. I used to be like the Peter Parkers. I was like, nah, dude, I don't buy it.
So was
You're
I.
way too
So
pretty.
am I.
And
there's here's the thing, and I should have prefaced this from the start.
You're way too pretty to be the nerd that everyone gets picked on.
You're too nice, but it did happen. I should have prefaced this from Jump Street here. I am making my argument based on accuracy to the character in the comics. Now, people can say whatever they want outside of that. I don't necessarily care.
Yeah.
But my preference is stemming from my desire for accuracy. I'm not expecting a 1-for-1, but my preference is for it to be as comic book accurate as possible. Now, the only time that Peter was, I guess, not pretty much objectively not like good looking character. I mean, he wasn't ever an ugly character, but the only time he was really meh was during the Steve Ditko days.
Yeah.
Right. Where we're in, shirts tucked in, you got the sweater vest tucked in and the tie and the bow tie. Okay, we're not going there. That's not going to land well in present year. People don't dress like that. This is not a thing. Okay. So outside of that, Peter Parker translated from basically the last few decades to present. Andrew Garfield far and away has the most accurate portrayal of it. And this is coming from someone who, when he was announced to be cast as the character, I was not down with it at all. Because what I had seen, I wasn't convinced. But then I saw, and then I was.
Am I allowed to just bitch out Culture Casino in the chat and the Kitty Bear? Stop it! No!
Is it what I think it probably is?
Keep doing it.
Culture Casino, appreciate you always supporting everybody in the chat, but saw it off.
Well, okay.
Enough of that crap.
I want Harry read it. Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. Going back to what you said, I do agree with you that Andrew Garfield is the most accurate. I do agree with you in there, but I don't like Andrew. Sorry, not Andrew. I don't like the Tom Holland one as well, because it's like, as much as we all hate Uncle Ben dying again, that that pain was at the root of who he was, and kind of just replacing it with Uncle Tony Stark is just, you know, it's kind of like, why bother?
You can call Tom Holland Spider-Man all you want, but he's Iron Man Jr. He's not Spider-Man.
Don't even go there. Don't go there.
Nope. I'll fucking fight you.
All right, I gotta ask you one question.
I got your back.
Fight you on that. Did you like Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse was solid. It wasn't amazing.
And
like
fuck you. You cannot say Iron Man
solid.
Jr. because you're okay with Aunt May having a fucking bat cave under her house, but you can't be okay with Iron Man giving him text.
I'm talking about portrayal of the actual Spider-Man characters. I'm not talking about the worlds that they live in.
The difference is this. He already learned from Uncle Ben how to be a superhero. That's why he was Spider-Man already when Tony found him. Tony taught him how to work with a team. That's the difference.
He didn't learn his lesson very well.
That's kind of the whole point of the movies is him learning how to work with a team.
Over and over and over.
Oh.
Peter's an intelligent character. He is one of the most intelligent people on the planet, as recognized by.
Where do you get over and over? He died. He was dead for 5 years. He came back, watched Tony Stark die. So he's dealing with that in Homecoming. We're still seeing this Spider-Man come to fruition. That's what I hate about the Iron Man Jr. and Spider-Boy bullshit. We've gotten 5 movies where we got to see Spider-Man. Okay? We actually get to see him become Spider-Man.
What's the title of the movie?
Yeah, but you know what? We've never got to see him become Spider-Man. We've seen him go, oh, I found a suit. Bam, he's Spider-Man already. We don't get to see any of the, you know, him becoming the character.
Hold on a second here. Found a suit and then bam, he's Spider-Man. Okay, if anything, maybe in the Raimi-verse, but even
same thing with the fucking stupid one in Amazing Spider-Man. It was the same. And that was just convoluted BS. And his uncle and his dad wasn't really dead and all that crap. That was just nonsense. Utter nonsense. Talk about it being close to the comic. I seen that story already. It was called Batman Forever, for one. That's the other problem with that movie. And it was bad then. So I don't get why everybody thinks that's so great. And I hate the Iron Man Jr. shit because that's what him dying, coming back from, because he wanted to be this great hero, right? He was antsy. He went and jumped. He leaped before he was looking. And that's why Tony took away the tech. Okay. He's like, if you can't be Spider-Man without the tech, then you don't deserve the tech. Right. It was about him being Spider-Man.
And he's relied on
that's what Homecoming was about. All right. Well, no, he learned in Homecoming.
That was a lesson learned. It was a lesson
in Homecoming
taken away from him. We went through this arc with him. He hasn't been allowed to just rely on the tech. He had to learn a lesson. We went through that.
And then he's had the tech ever since.
Beat for beat, but we went with it through him. We went through it with him. Beat for beat, why the tech is not enough, why the tech is inadequate, that he is Spider-Man regardless of that tech, because he was able to pull the job off in his pajamas. Okay.
Yeah, remember he's sitting there screaming for Tony. Tony didn't come help him,
and that was one of the few moments in Homecoming that was actually good.
Okay, so then you go from Homecoming to Infinity War, where he's antsy again about being an Avenger, right? He's moved on from being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is what he learned from Uncle Ben, to being an Avenger, which is what he strives to be, because that's what Tony Stark is. So he goes from that. He gets killed in the snap. He's gone for 5 years. When he comes back, he watches his mentor die in front of him, and he doesn't understand the levity of the responsibility that Tony has put on him. So he fucks up and gives it to Mysterio because he's not ready to be a leader yet. It has nothing to do with Spider-Man. He's completely ready to be Spider-Man. He's just not ready to be a leader yet. That's where he fucks up and gives away the tech and learns by the end of Homecoming, even though I don't like, or Far From Home, I mean, even though I don't like Far From Home as much, I will say that. I'm really
sorry to distract from this conversation, but can I just point out I'm being completely roasted in the chat. You guys have got to have something better to do than call through the
You kind of asked for that one. I'm not going to back you up.
I can't do anything about that.
So okay, so Spider-Man is fantastic.
Whoa. Okay, all right, hey guys, I humbly ask you guys to be nice to my guest, because the more you give her a hard time, then the less likely she's going to come back.
I'll jump into that chat and start kicking teeth in.
No. I'm sending you ears and a tail, Andrew. It's on.
No. This is a no furry zone. Yeah. The only furry person is me.
Well,
That is
I'm
all that is allowed. I was trying to back you up, man. What's up with that? Just fucking leave? Damn.
Nothing wrong
dude.
with furries. Not a thing. I was on your side. No. But seriously, you guys are hilarious in the chat. Yuck it up, fuzzball. Laugh it up, fuzzball. It's fine. You know what? Make a meme and put it on Twitter. Then I'll respect you. All right? Make a good one. Make me a real furry. That's all I'm saying. Put your money where your mouth is, people. Gummy bear. All right, my bad. I'm sorry. If something about Andrew Garfield is irrelevant and inadequate or something like that.
Oh, I see. It's fine. Keep pushing in this direction. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
All I know, there's only one Spider-Man who's not getting a part 3. That's all I'm saying.
And that's unfortunate. Even though the second movie had a lot of issues, and I wish a lot of things were different in it. I'm not talking about the movies as a whole. If we put the movies as a whole, I wouldn't put number 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2 up near the top. But I'm talking about the performance of the character specifically. And again, I will keep hammering this in because I am a multiple decade fan of the comic books, have the long boxes to prove it, and the education to prove it. Andrew Garfield was the most accurate. You cannot like him. That's fine. I can't tell you don't like him. I can't tell you like him less or don't. It doesn't matter to me. That's not the argument I'm making. I'm saying that he's the most accurate to the character. I'm not talking about the stuff they did in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Oscorp all of a sudden manufacturing all of the villains. I thought that was dumb. Willie, you said you liked that. I wasn't a fan. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't like that because it was a huge departure. And I wasn't a fan. This is me being both able to praise something that I enjoy and criticize it as well. So I thought that was stupid. I thought the way they did Green Goblin with Osborn in that one was incredibly stupid. I don't like it at all. I was like, wait a second here. Harry is not the one that results in Gwen's death. This is stupid. And he looked dumb on top of that.
I'm glad that he didn't look there. You know that they were basically trying to copy off of Ultimate Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that they did that in the first place, but at least they didn't make him look like Ultimate Green Goblin because that looked
it would have been far worse.
Ugly.
It would have been far worse. And I'm glad
instead
they
we got Meth Green Goblin.
Well, like I said, Tom, I'm with you on this. He looked stupid. I wasn't
honestly, I didn't really hate. I'll be honest. Okay, I'll give you a mulligan on this one. I didn't hate Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was okay. All right. My problem came when it came.
I'm not trying to convince you to like the movie.
No, I'm just giving you that as a mulligan, and like, you know, I do accept the fact that it's not a bad Spider-Man movie. The first Amazing one is not horrible. It's the
first
second
Amazing
movie.
Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man movie.
I don't know about the being the best. It's
followed by number
best,
2.
But,
followed by not Amazing Spider-Man 2, followed by the Raimi number 2.
Oh, the Raimi Spider-Man 2, in my opinion, is the best Spider-Man of all time.
And honestly, you're in the vast majority there, and there's good argument for that.
Yeah.
Because I think just objectively as a film, whether it's because I take issue with Raimi's Spider-Man in a lot of respects, but just as a movie, the Raimi Spider-Man 2 is phenomenal. It is almost as perfect a comic book film as you can get.
And I even, in the Raimi Spider-Man 1, I would probably even put on par or above even Homecoming, just for the record, just so everybody knows, because I feel like that captured the quintessential 60s Spider-Man origin perfectly. The only downside to that movie is you have a guy who looks like the Green Goblin. All you had to do is paint his face green and put a purple hoodie on him, and instead you put him in this fucking mask. It's stupid.
Did you see? There's on YouTube. There was a makeup
I've seen
test.
it. Yeah, I know. It looked awesome.
Okay. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
I don't know how Raimi didn't go with that.
I think what it was that he was alert. What's his name? Defoe was allergic to the latex they used.
The silicone, I think, is what it was.
Power Ranger mask. Yeah. Andrew, I gotta get you. I have a book. Well, I mean, it's in storage, but I gotta get you. There's this book called Web Slingers. It's a book of Spider-Man essays, and one of them was one of them was about how the Ultimate Spider-Man, and this was before their version of Carnage and the Clone Saga. So this was like around, I think, even before their version of Sinister Six, which sucked. They did a comparison of why Ultimate Spider-Man was a much better version of Spider-Man than Raimi's Spider-Man. And I'm actually kind of curious to see if you read it, what you would think.
So we're talking about comparing Brian Michael Bendis's run on Ultimate Spider-Man as compared with the Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah, but keep in mind that the Raimi movies they were comparing were the first two Raimi movies, because this book came out before the
so
third
the ones
one.
that don't suck.
Yeah, and it was comparing Bendis's run up until, I think it was like before Sinister Six. Their version of the Sinister Six. So it's kind of like, so I mean, this was before Ultimate Spider-Man started to suck. So it's before they started to really suck. I'm kind of curious.
The first couple of volumes of, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's fine. It's like I got to get you the link for it.
Okay.
For,
I'll give it a look. I am averse to alternate universes in comic books because for me it's a cop out. Yeah.
Are you? Because isn't that how we get a lot of our characters?
It is in a lot of ways, and I don't like multiverses in a lot of respects because I don't think in a lot of ways they're handled very well. A lot of times they become a cop-out. It's like, well, we don't know what we're doing with this character here, so we're going to tell a story for a short while here with the same character because we decided to have a different direction that we wanted to do, but we don't want to derail what we have going on here.
Shit, I think we... Sorry, we lost you for a bit.
Oh. No, the Ultimate Universe is... Oh, go ahead.
No, I heard you just fine. I'm sorry. That was all I was saying was I heard you fine.
Oh, okay. The Ultimate Universe in Marvel for a while was stronger, at least in writing. I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the Ultimate Universe for Marvel, but its writing for a few years was far stronger. Just the quality of the writing, whether I took issue or not with the direction they were taking characters, just the writing was better than the main universe that they had, the main 616 universe. And I recognize that the first couple of volumes, like I want to say the first, I want to say like almost 50 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man were superb. And that was Brian Michael Bendis at his best. And now he sucks ass and is destroying characters like Superman and Superboy. And he doesn't know what the hell he's doing anymore. But if I'm just comparing that first handful of volumes, and I know this is a slight rabbit trail, ended in a second. If I'm just comparing at face value that first handful of volumes of Ultimate Spider-Man to the Raimiverse, I mean, I guess I would say that it's better, but I wouldn't say by much. And it's because
is it wise to compare films to comics. I'm not saying that films shouldn't draw heavy and important influence from the comics. Of course they should. That's sort of the reason for making them in the first place. But these are different iterations. They are different storytelling. They do need to fit a screen as opposed to a page, right? And so I feel like that's something that you have to give a movie. You look like you are like dying to say something.
I'll let you finish.
No. That's what I was going to say. Is it always wise to put one for one a movie next to a comic?
Not necessarily. And I've said this before. I think I said this last time I was on here, which is I never expect for any comic book movie it to be a one for one interpretation. I never do. But I prefer accuracy over the alternative. So the more accurate for me, the better. I'm going to appreciate it far more because ultimately I'm a comic book guy more than I am a movie guy. I enjoy movies. I love seeing superhero movies. I love seeing my favorite characters translated onto film. But I first and foremost, because I am a comic book guy, firstly, I want to see the character that I grew up reading for 3 decades plus. I want to see that character. I don't want to see somebody else's interpretation with that character's name plastered on it. Now, in terms of the MCU Spider-Man, and I just refreshed myself on this too, so I'm glad I did, even though I wanted to flip my table and throw my PlayStation 4. I just finished watching Far From Home again. I hated it. I tried so hard. I tried so hard to like it. They, in that movie, say that the MCU is universe in Marvel 616. That is the main Marvel universe. So if you're going to say that is 616 universe, that better be fucking Peter fucking Parker from 616.
If I recall correctly, that was a bunch of bullshit because there wasn't actually a multiverse. That was Mysterio bullshitting about being from a multiverse.
That may be the case, but they said it nonetheless. Now, whether they're saying it to yank the chain of the viewers or not, that's irrelevant because they've already acknowledged that there is a multiverse in the MCU because the next Doctor Strange film is about the multiverse.
Sure.
And I would be hard pressed to believe that they don't draw from that, given how they're known to link all of their films.
There's a reasonable argument on the table here for, okay, 616, that was a reference or whatever that they were throwing out there for people. But this may very well not be that universe because they've already established that Mysterio is bullshitting right here. And nobody has any knowledge of the multiverse except for potentially Stephen Strange, right? So we're talking about maybe a reference out there that they were throwing out there, but this may not actually be that universe. And I'm not saying that it is or that it isn't. What I'm saying is that there's grounds for an argument and that this may have been a throwaway, like, hey, comic book guys, you know what we're talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that's the problem that comic book guys have with it. As a comic book guy, if you say that to me, okay, cool, then where the fuck is it?
I think you're both right. It's there, it's coming, but I think Mysterio was full of shit as far as what he was saying.
Yeah. In terms of just if we isolate that film, absolutely, Mysterio was full of shit because he was full of shit through the whole thing. And Jake Gyllenhaal, even though the character wasn't written very accurately to the comic books, his performance was excellent. I'll definitely give him that. Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job.
Until he starts hamming it up at the end, I didn't mind him much. But yeah, that was the only part I didn't like.
I thought he did a fantastic job.
I thought he was pretty solid. But he was definitely inferior to Michael Keaton's Vulture, but that's because Michael Keaton is...
That's because Michael Keaton rocks.
There's no such thing as a film that isn't better because Michael
That's
Keaton's
the other thing. How can you... Okay, and just all seriousness, how can you guys sit here and say, with the way that film plays out in Homecoming, that fucking scene between Michael Keaton and Peter, what's his face of the character, Tom Holland... Like, how can you not sit there in that moment and go, God, that Tom Holland kid's got some chops because he's holding his own against fucking.
I never
Keaton,
said that.
And Keaton is just amazing in that scene. And that scene,
never said that.
And to me, that scene took that movie from this is an okay MCU movie to this is a great MCU.
No,
movie.
Tom, you're misunderstanding because that is an incredible scene, and I can't take away anything from that. I can't criticize Tom Holland as an actor. Tom Holland's a perfectly fine actor. And for the character that's written, he does a great job. I don't like the character that's written. That's the difference. That's the argument I'm making this entire time.
I actually.
No, I'm just saying that's a fair differentiation to make because I don't care for Rey Skywalker, Palpatine, whatever the fuck she is now, and I also don't care for Daisy Ridley. But it's not because I associate Daisy Ridley, or it's not because I say Daisy Ridley is Rey Skywalker. I recognize that they're two different entities, right? So that's a fair differentiation to make.
There are a lot of great scenes in both movies. Just if I'm just looking at them as films, and I have a certificate in TV and film and mass media, and I did a lot of on and off camera work. I can appreciate the quality of a performance just on its own, setting aside my bias of what I believe the character should be and how the character should be presented. I can still see the quality of the performance based on what was written. So there's the character that's written and whether I like that or not, and then there's the quality of the performance reflective of the character that's written. Those are two separate things.
Well, here's the only thing that I can't really argue, or at least the reason why I put so many of the other Spider-Man movies above the MCU ones isn't because I think they're bad films, but the problem with the MCU as a whole is just that you have to have the MCU as a whole for it to work. That's the fundamental issue once we get to movie, fucking 16. By that point, you have to. That's why I walked into my mom once watching Iron Man 3 on cable, and I'm like, you ain't never seen the Avengers. How the hell do you know what's going on?
You have no idea what's happening right now.
She's like, I don't know. I'm just watching it. It's like, Mom, but you don't understand why he's even feeling this way or what the hell he's talking about. Or it's like, how can somebody get to that point where you're like, you have to have seen the movie before this or you've got to be lost, and that's the only problem I have with the Spider-Man films. And I do feel like if they would have gave Tom Holland a proper kind of origin film, even though we're sick to death of origin films, I think people may have gravitated to him a little bit more, because I think that's the problem is he hasn't got
seen Civil War seriously.
Well, that's my problem though, is that we haven't got a full film where it's just an actual film on its own. That's the problem, is you have to have Civil War to work with Homecoming, and you have to have Infinity War and Endgame to work with Far From Home. That's my biggest gripe.
And that's one of the many gripes that I have with MCU Iron Man Jr. Because sorry, Tom, I had to.
I'm used to it. Here's my thing. My only problem with that is when people have no problem with Spider-Verse, but they have issues with Iron Man Jr. It's like
there are a lot of problems that I had with Spider-Verse, but old Peter Parker, the character was written exactly as I envision an old kind of grungy, rundown Peter Parker would be after he's been through a ton of shit in his life. Ton of stuff has gone wrong, as usual, for Peter. That's called that Parker luck.
Look, I appreciate that aspect of how that depiction of Peter Parker, but it kind of made me super sad, right? Like
that was kind of the point with that
scenario for Peter Parker.
No, and it was written well for that scenario. It's definitely not the scenario I would want for Peter Parker at all, but I think it was handled well. I'll put it that way. But with regards to the MCU, Spider-Man, I'll say Spider-Man, even though he's not written as that. I'm never gonna let that go. It's just not gonna happen.
Never gonna give you up.
never gonna let you down.
You don't even acknowledge though that he's made his own web spinners and all that kind of stuff before Tony and all that stuff though.
I didn't say that he didn't.
No, I know, but that's where I think the problem.
But he's been reliant on, and we can isolate that latter half of the third act of Homecoming all we want. In that, yes, he's capable of handling things on his own, without Tony's tech, without anybody else, and that was the part of that film that I liked the best, because that's how Spider-Man is. Spider-Man is a singular character. He stands on his own. He's an individual. He doesn't need the Avengers. The Avengers need him. There's a reason why Spider-Man is the number one and has been since Jump Street.
And that's what people have wanted.
Selling Spider.
But here's where I was saying is I feel like you and a lot of other people may have warmed up to this Spider-Man more had they given him a proper origin story without the rest of the MCU. Maybe. Well, I think that's where you guys are not, because you keep saying that, but I just don't think you saw that. So just
he hasn't been able to stand on his own. They haven't written him to stand on his own. I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it. Tom Holland, I'm sure he's a perfectly fine actor. He though.
That's the thing I'm saying though. We just haven't seen him before Tony Stark, and we've only seen him since Tony Stark found him, and after.
Then we haven't seen it.
That's
the thing. We haven't seen it. If they gave us to your point, that's one of the problems with the MCU. Everything has to be about the greater MCU. Whereas with Spider-Man, he has to just stand on his own. And then you can tie him up with other characters down the road.
Andrew, appreciate it. Appreciate the energy and the passion. I just want to say one more thing, and then I want to move to the link that I sent you. Okay.
I didn't get a link from you. Oh, did you send it in my Twitter DMs?
No, I sent it in the live stream private chat. I'll send it to both. I'll send it to everybody.
I don't see it here.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay. No, it's fine. I probably sent it in the wrong thing then. That's all right. Here you go.
There it is.
There it is.
So when it comes to you, when it comes to your point, Tom, like that scene, I agree. That made me love Michael Keaton's Vulture more than Spider-Man, but it made me respect Tom Holland as an actor. Now, when it comes to him inventing his own webs, I agree that was really cool. If they stop giving him Tony Stark suits when Far From Home or the Avengers movie came, I would wholeheartedly agree with you.
Well, that's my point, though. It's like I'm saying, if we would have seen Iron Man Jr. Yeah, my point is we didn't get to see all him. getting on Tony's radar to begin with. So he has been doing Spider-Man stuff all this time. He came up with some of his own tech. That's how he got on Tony's radar. And I get where you guys are coming from. In all fairness, we should have gotten a movie showing us some of that shit.
A movie is a visual medium.
I get that, but the
so
problem
we have to see it. Don't just infer it to us.
I get that, but you have one problem here. You have 2 movie studios that were working together, and you didn't have 10 movies to build this up. You only had a few movies to do this, so they're relying on us, and I get that it's not fair, but they are relying on us as the audience to see this already happened, and now we're picking up Spider-Man's story here instead of seeing him become Spider-Man before this. That's my point.
Okay. No, you have a very valid point. So I'm going to be straight with the chat and straight with you guys. I invited my own Disney expert because I was hoping to have that Disney expert talk with Mary and discuss things with the live action Robin Hood. However, it does not appear that she is on, and I have a feeling she kind of backed out. So we're not going to talk about that.
Ah, boo! I don't need another Disney expert. I am the Disney expert.
I know you're the Disney expert, but you were just on toxic femininity saying your whole piece about.
And I will be putting a video up on my channel tomorrow about the exact same thing. Channels are different. So don't ever shy away from anything just because somebody else has already talked about it, because you'll find you'll have nothing to talk about. But
sorry.
You do you, honey boo, whatever you. It's your stream, your show. But I'm good. I'm down for whatever.
No.
And I'm not a furry.
Okay, here is something I found, and I was going to. I sent you the link. I found this on Cosmic Book News. And it was apparently a rumor that was posted to Reddit as the plot of Captain Marvel 2. Now, while I'm going to make a video about this and explain why it's probably not the plot to Captain Marvel 2.
No,
I do want to go into it.
They're not going to do that with Captain Marvel. They don't even want to do it with Doctor Strange.
Well, this honestly is though when they were saying in this. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to.
Like a "we got this covered" article.
It kind of maybe. Okay, so all right, I'll have to explain everything then. Okay, so basically, from what my research and stuff was, the chat did get taken down from Marvel Studios' spoiler subreddit, but everything from what this sounds like though sounds like that it's not. And even because even in the spoilers, the guy was saying it's a Disney Plus series, not a movie. So at best, this is probably a rumor for A-Force than Captain Marvel 2. But basically, it's let me see if I can do the thing where I can show the screen. Is it this share screen? Is it share screen?
Yeah. You want me to share it?
Oh, yeah. Yes, please. Thank you.
Too easy. All you'll have to do is approve it down on the bottom, okay?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
There you go. Boom.
Okay, so this article is basically the plot of this show is that Captain Marvel, Sword, who else? It's She-Hulk, Spider-Woman, Scarlet Witch, Mighty Thor, Valkyrie, and Spectrum, who's supposed to be Monica Rambeau, are at the space station, at the Sword space station together, and then there's Broods. And basically, unlike in the comics where the Broods are basically a xenomorph knockoff, these basically lay their eggs and mind control people. But it's only the men that can be mind controlled by the Brood. So therefore,
weak-minded men, naturally.
Yeah. So therefore, Captain Marvel gets together all those ladies to fight like an Avengers type thing to stop the Brood and go to the Brood homeworld to fight the Brood Queen. And if I read it, I'd probably bore you to. Well, let me see.
I just want to know who that's for. if it actually is a thing, which it more than likely is not a thing.
Yeah, it's while it's not likely a thing, I think. Well, the thing was, when I was reading this sounded very much like. It sounds very much like it would actually happen because it's just that as condescending as the plot to Captain Marvel, and that was my kind of thing of why it's like, this is kind of interesting. But also, too, the reason why I think this is probably more towards A-Force is because there's been a lot of tweets and comments and stuff of how the actresses in the MCU, when they did that whole Women of Avengers thing, that fan service thing together, how much
the most condescending moment of the entire film.
Yes, exactly.
Like the thing that stretches your suspension of disbelief beyond the point of breaking. Like,
yes.
How'd all those chicks get there?
It's like, wait, all you bitches just got here. Where you been?
Exactly.
We all just happened to show up right next to each other with absolutely no male and women powered. Da, 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 da. Like,
and here's keep going.
Yes, the girl power. Yeah. Anyway, that scene.
And I wanted to throw my controller, and I wasn't even playing video games at the time.
Sorry. Breathe.
I'm sorry.
Namaste.
I'm sorry. Am I supposed to feel anything other than completely placated at that moment? Am I supposed to feel anything other than like, who's a good girl? You want a cookie? You want a little biscuit?
No, she wants a taco.
I want a taco. Drop the taco. No, I do not feel empowered. I feel talked down to. This is completely disingenuous, and I want to go bitch slap every single one of those hoes in the face.
Same thing too. My girlfriend isn't much into like comic skate and fandom menace, but she was thinking the same thing too when she had me when we were watching that movie together. Because I was eye rolling and she was like, "What?" And then she looked at it and it's just eye rolled. Anyway,
eye roll is the least of what I could have done at that moment. What I wanted to do was jump through the screen and go, "You're not supposed to be. You're here. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. And I don't even know who the fuck you are. Go home.
You don't even go here."
Oh shit! I lost my train of thought.
What just happened?
Mary went off.
Mary hulked out and went on a rampage, and it was just so awesome that
you said you wanted to get yelled at.
I know. I was yes, I know. I very much like it.
Your mom's a floozy. Get out of here. Go home. Rethink your life. Want to buy some death sticks?
I'm gonna try and not be crude. I'm trying to be a good host, man. I try to be nice, be a good host, and not say crude shit. But no.
You're good.
No, fuck this.
You're not bothering me. And you know what bothered me was that retarded ass scene in frickin' Avengers.
Anyway,
that's what bothered me.
Okay. Going back to my point was there was a lot of talk about like, hey, this was fun. We kind of want to do it. And so that's why I was thinking, if there's any credibility to it, it's probably for an A-Force Disney Plus show. Because if you think about it too, there's how many people want to see, there's been a lot of people who are not really looking forward to an A-Force show.
Bless you.
A lot of people just aren't looking forward to the next phase of the MCU in general.
It's going to be so stupid. And I don't even know why we need an A-Force anyway. That's so retarded. The whole notion is completely retarded. I don't need a bunch of women on screen. This is so incredibly condescending.
No, it is. Anyway, so, that's what I kind of wanted to get your... should I just yeah... I feel like I should read this.
Just give us the bullet points.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the film will deal with Sword being compromised by a rare alien threat. It's the Brood. They're laying eggs on Sword and possessing agents. It turns out only male operatives can get compromised, which leads to the formation of A-Force. Carol and the other ladies must stop the spread of the brood and their influence across the galaxy. And it turns out that the species is operating as parasites that have secretly been conquering planets in the universe. In order to kill them, they must kill the Empress brood. So they have to go to the home planet.
A force of what?
A force of vagina.
A force of bullshit.
A force down our throat is what it is.
Yes. Yeah, so that's basically what that leak said. It was taken down by that stream, so there's...
Is the force still female?
That
Tom,
force
why?
is. Oh, that force is.
Why, Tom?
I don't know.
But that's...
Come on, man. You trying to hurt me? I know we disagree on Spider-Man, but why would you hurt me like that, man?
I don't care that much about Spider-Man to care
Why would
that
you
we
do
disagree.
It's
not like it's real shit like Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Hold up now.
Oh, man.
I'm kidding, of course.
Oh.
But I do love the Ninja Turtles more than Spider-Man.
I don't love the Ninja Turtles more than Spider-Man, but growing up as a little kid, Ninja Turtles was almost my religion.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I don't mean to be rude, Andrew, but how old are you about?
He's 19.
No, maybe when I shave. No, I'm just over 30.
Oh, okay. Because like I'm 36, and it's like around when I was a kid, that's right when the Ninja Turtles happened, and that was
the classic Turtles cartoon and the original Turtles movie were my shit.
That was the first movie I went to see in the movie theater, the Ninja Turtles. My older brother took me and my other brother because reasons.
That's pretty cool. But going back to this article,
yes.
I didn't mean to sidetrack.
No, it's fine. I appreciate that because I constantly will recite lines from that original film in my head constantly because it's hysterical and I love it and it's gold. But this isn't happening. It's not happening. And if it is, they're foolish because nobody is asking for this. Nobody wants this. The MCU botched their opportunity to develop a couple of their better female characters already. Now, I think the Black Widow film looks like it could be a ton of fun. That's one thing, but that's not necessarily related to this. Scarlet Witch deserves to stand on her own and be a part of something greater because of it, not just thrown in to a team because whammon.
I agree.
She is one of the most powerful characters in the entire Marvel universe to the point where she has entirely rewritten the Marvel universe with just a little help to eliminate all of the mutants or almost all of the mutants. Yeah. It was a thing. And then she undid it. So she's kind of a big deal. As a comic book fan, it made me laugh uncontrollably when Kevin Feige was like, "Oh yeah, Carol Danvers is the most powerful character in the."
You backtracked on that, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, he did. But when he initially said that, before he had walked it back, I was like, "Motherfucker, please! You already have added in Scarlet Witch."
No, I gotta agree with you on this one because like Scarlet Witch in the MCU actually made me like one of the Olsen girls.
Right.
So,
right. True.
And she's a good actress.
Yeah, she is a good actress.
I really liked her as Wanda.
She did a great job. I do have one gripe with her, and that is the decreasingly less accent that
she's got a Halle Berry thing going on there with the whole accent, but let's not forget Halle Berry won an Oscar. So
thank you for mentioning Halle Berry, Tom. That's what I was thinking.
But they were smart with Halle. By that third film, they're just like, you know what? Fuck the accent. Don't do it.
They didn't, because at that time Halle Berry wasn't a proven actress when she was doing X-Men, so they're like, you know what, let's give her the least bound lines possible. And
not only that, that poor girl, they gave her one of the worst lines in cinema history.
Oh fuck yeah!
With do you know what happens to a toad when he gets struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
That's the dumbest
you know what
line.
No bullshit. No bullshit. In the
Andrew, no!
Did you just scare off my guest, Mary?
He just said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
He did. I agree. I know how he feels.
But in the commentary for X-Men,
y'all had to make me relive that.
I'm so sorry.
In the comment,
man, Storm is one of my favorite mutants.
She is. She's my favorite too.
She's great in that movie. That's the only part. And I'm looking at that in the theater. Even in the theater, as a 20-year-old, I'm like, how did this get past the editors?
Well, so what I was trying to say was like, it was kind of funny in the commentary. Bryan Singer was being interviewed by this guy, and the interviewer actually came up with a better retort for that, a better part for that line than actually Bryan Singer. He's like, holy shit, I didn't think about that. It was like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Well, I know why it actually is in there. Like all these years later, I found out what the deal was. It is actually a payoff to a scene that got deleted. So there's like this build up, like a scene or two before, like that they build up the whole thing with things getting struck by lightning. So it's supposed to be a payoff to a joke that we never got the setup for. That's the problem, I guess. But yeah, like all these years later, I found out about this deleted scene that sets it up. I'm just like, well, that's stupid. It should have been in the movie, or they should have cut the line out. One of the two.
At least on the DVD release.
I don't even think it's on the DVD. I found it somewhere else.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if they were going to cut out of the theatrical release for, you know, runtime reasons, because that happens all the time, literally all the time, at least put it on the DVD release so that people understand there's a little more payoff there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, just bad line is bad.
Yeah, even Darksider said it was a payoff for a running gag, I heard. Yeah, there's like a couple scenes that got just, the whole gag got axed, but for some reason they left that line. They should have redubbed it or just left it out altogether. It honestly would have just been more badass if she just struck him with lightning and didn't say a damn word.
I agree. Okay.
Sorry, off topic.
No, it's fine. It's like kind of needing to fill topics.
Captain Marvel 2, nobody gives a shit about. That's what the real
The
story
only reason why
is.
anybody went to see the first one is because it was sandwiched. It was the cream filling to the Oreo that was the biggest cliffhanger in cinematic history.
Yeah.
To the biggest climax.
Well, I was going to say it was the biggest bait and switch in cinematic history, but that works too.
That's just as accurate.
Here's the thing, though, guys. That's actually how Marvel Studios does it, because you got to look, like Thor and Captain America were huge risks for them, which is why they put more of the more plot elements from Avengers into their respective movies. They just happen to be successful. And when you look at Thor, the Dark World, they put in part of the Infinity Stone to kind of juice up interest into that film. And they did the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy because they didn't know if it would work. So I mean, it's like it's like when that's one of those things which I've never heard anybody actually say and bring up as a retort to it, because it's like when you say that Captain Marvel is like a giant bait and switch, I'd say the same thing to Captain America, Thor, the Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy, all of them.
I don't know if I'd classify those as bait and switches. Those were gambles.
Yeah.
Those were measured gambles because there was a reason why they led with Iron Man. And it was because they said, okay, because anybody who's a comic book fan knows that prior to that first Iron Man film, he was a B character.
Yeah.
Nobody really cared. He had nowhere near one of the higher selling comic books out of Marvel ever. It wasn't a thing. He was liked, but he wasn't an icon. He's an icon now, and that's because they were able to make that first film work. And they were like, okay, if we can make Iron Man work, we can do this shit, and we can make anything work. And then they proved it again when they made Guardians of the Galaxy work. If Iron Man is a B character, that was a D-list team.
Yeah.
And now they're doing Eternals, which is like an F-list team.
In all fairness, I get where you're coming from, Willie. And you could probably argue, in a way, if you go with that, if that argument, maybe Iron Man 2 falls in that category, because most of that movie got left on the cutting room floor, and what's left is all the setup So that in a way is kind of the closest I would say we've gotten to that to this point, because the problem was you had Captain Marvel came out. They should have flip-flopped Black Widow and Captain Marvel is what they should have done. Yeah. And then Captain Marvel wouldn't have felt like such a bait and switch, because you set this character up in Endgame, because there really was nothing in that movie that we needed to know who she was, other than you set up this character and she's whatever. Well, then we get to find out who she is in her own movie. At that point, there's nothing that was in her movie that set anything up in Endgame. But now, if you would have put Ant-Man and Wasp, if you would have put Ant-Man and Wasp before Infinity War, and then put Black Widow in between the two, then Captain Marvel after Endgame, then I would have been like, okay, I understand these moves. But the way they did it, it's a total bait and switch because there's no reason you needed to see Captain Marvel.
The best thing Carol Danvers did in Endgame was get punched in the face by Thanos.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was the only entertaining part of her involvement in that film. And that's not like advocating for violence against women or anything like that. It's just that was the only entertaining scene that she was in.
And I think that
otherwise
movie,
she was ostensibly unlikable.
And I think the end game we got was the end game we got, I think, was the infamous not so Captain Marvelous cut.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a few bits that I know of. For one, there was a video game that came out. And it was exclusive to like some cars, and it was called Rocket's Rescue. And what it was about was Rocket Raccoon rescuing Tony and what's her face, the blue chick,
Nebula.
But in the movie we got, it's Captain Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you like take and flip flop a few things, like it feels like they took her character out and put her in different spots where she should have been before, and flip flopped her with like two other characters, like Rocket and like one other character is what they did. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, when I saw Endgame, when I eventually saw Endgame, I looked at that and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely the Captain Marvel.
Because why would you have Rocket's Rescue where he's rescuing those two if it wasn't part of the movie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I just really had a brain fart. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to sidetrack you there.
No. It's okay.
But yeah, I do think that between that and then Kevin's statement that Andrew was talking about earlier that we brought up really speaks to the fact that I don't think they have the... I don't think Captain Marvel's getting the support she did before in the MCU.
No.
It won't.
No.
Well, to be honest, that's why I believe more of the rumors that they're going to try and introduce mutants like Rogue or Wolverine into Captain Marvel too, because it's like I heard there was the rumor where they were
I want
thinking
them infected with her cooties.
Rogue. I would be down for Rogue. Then that.
Well, I mean, that's how Rogue gets her flight and super strength powers, but
and like that's the
they're
one
not going to
thing-
mirror the animated series. I highly doubt.
Well, no, that's from the comics too. That's from the comics as well, and so. It's like and then to be honest, that's the best way to differentiate their Rogue from Fox Rogue, is to give her the flight and super strength and
so from not Rogue.
Yeah, but no, I wholeheartedly agree with you with Captain.
Most of my favorite Marvel heroes are female characters, so I'm kind of picky in the way that they're portrayed. I write them as the actual badass, strong characters that they are, not try and force them down our throats in a different way. Like, you don't have to do that. Rogue is an incredible badass.
Well, and that's one of the reasons too, I think, why they didn't put so much stock into Captain Marvel is because once they knew they had the X-Men on board. That's some of the most strongest female characters in comic history, right?
But that's also one of the reasons why they went so hard on Captain Marvel in the first place, and it's one of the reasons why they still are in the comics, and it's because Marvel hates the idea that they don't have a Wonder Woman. They don't have just a female character that stands on her own entirely. She's not a part of a team or doesn't need to be part of a team. Bar none, there's no comparison between Wonder Woman and any female character in the Marvel universe. And
there's Storm, but granted, she's on a team.
No, I'm talking about just on her own.
On her
by
own,
herself.
yeah.
No, but see, Black Widow almost could have been. And honestly, let's face it, if they would have put even if before Infinity War, if they'd have given Black Widow her own film up to that point, she still probably would have outgrossed Wonder Woman. Because she's almost more well-known at this point, arguably, because Wonder Woman has been so shafted by DC over the years, because I wasn't that big a fan of the Wonder Woman film, but I said, finally. And unfortunately, they're going to learn the wrong lesson from this. But you know what? Wonder Woman should have got her own movie 30, 40 years ago. This is just 10, 20 years too late. I mean... That's
neither here nor there.
But yeah,
the Black Widow film, I think, is, again, I think it's going to be a fun film. It looks fun at the very least. But now I
think they lost that steam.
It's a few years too late.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they lost that steam. A few years ago, it would have outgrossed Wonder Woman, I bet, is my point.
Well, the thing is, okay, so the thing with Black Widow is that part of the reason why, according to the Sony leaks, that why Black Widow was very hesitant about doing that was that Ike Perlmutter did not want any movies led by women because in the past they have not been successful box office wise and also from toy sales wise. And also he didn't want black characters for some odd reason. But the thing is that I have to word this very carefully because it can be taken the wrong way. I can understand his viewpoint especially when it comes to toys about them not selling because in the past they generally don't sell. However, I think after Guardians of the Galaxy, they should have put a fucking Black Widow movie and they should have taken that chance. There were enough people who would even buy merchandise who were wanting Black Widow action figures, Black Widow movie.
Not only that, I'll blow your mind even more. They should have put Black Widow with Black Panther.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, I know. But
you got the two Black Widow, Black Panther. I'm sure they could have come up with something cool with that.
But like in all honesty, Black Widow should have been kind of like a mid-budget action movie.
But I mean, let me put it this way. Okay, you could have done it right after Civil War, and what you could have done is had instead of the Black Panther movie, had Black Widow go with him over to figure out the whole thing with his dad's murder and all that shit.
Yeah. But something like that. And that's their biggest problem because it's like, I'll be honest, is even though I've been kind of had an embargo on watching Marvel movies, especially after Black Panther. I kind of been leaning on that, but I'll be honest, I'm very, very tempted of lifting that band and watching Black Widow because that does look entertaining. Dude, Taskmaster looks fucking cool. I mean, his mask looks cool, but they keep making them all purple, which is kind of weird. But it's like that movie looks cool, but it won't do as well because of that very reason because Wonder Woman, basically. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's like they kind of shot themselves in the foot. But Captain Marvel has never been a super popular character ever.
No,
even when
she's not. She's one of the lower selling comic books.
Even when they were trying to force feed her in, because when they tried to force feed Iron Man into being a popular comics character in 2007 and 2008 with like even Civil War, because they were trying to get enough traction for a movie, and luckily Robert Downey Jr. had the charisma to do it. But I'm sorry, but
well, here's
Brie
the thing.
Larson is an obnoxious person. She just turns everyone off.
No, we could talk about Brie Larson until we're blue or purple in the face. That's easy to do.
And she just doesn't have talent.
As far as the character of Carol Danvers, Marvel screwed up pretty royally because prior to Carol Danvers taking on the name and the mantle and the title of Captain Marvel, she actually had a very well-selling comic book. Her comic book routinely sold between, I think it was like 40 and 60,000 copies.
You talking about when she was binary or when this is Warbird?
No, I'm talking about Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel, okay.
The Brian Reed run on Miss Marvel, which was the early aughts. And I have the entire run digitally, and I have it all in hardcover, gold lettered collections. All 9 or 10 volumes, one of the two. I can't forget. I can't remember. She, in that iteration, was actually my second favorite Marvel character behind only Spider-Man. Little known fact. And so I had a huge issue with them basically dismantling anything that was likable about the character. And one of the things I liked about her the most was she, while being part of a lot of these big teams, she even led the Mighty Avengers on multiple occasions. She had a much different perspective and different approach to everything than anybody else on the team. And so she was interesting. She wasn't just, we're going to basically have this character be a copy of this character, but make them whammon. And then that's it. No depth, no substance, no meat, just flash, nothing important.
Yeah, that's a perfect point to, like, we were making the same point the other night on one of those, I don't remember what show it was, but I was just saying, it may have even been earlier tonight on After Dark, when I said you can't create icons. They don't just, you can't create one. They happen.
Exactly.
You can't predict them. They don't come, they don't come out of thin air. Like, you can't just force it like they do with trying to do with Carol Danvers and with Captain Marvel, and because all you're going to do is get pushback.
When Stan Lee and Steve Ditko made Spider-Man, I don't think they had in mind, we're going to have a character that is going to be equally as recognizable on the level of Batman and Superman.
Well, even bigger, actually, because they would have never, ever in a million years thought they were going to have the most popular character in the world. Like right now, and we've said it before, Spider-Man outsells everything across the board. Everything.
Even when it's not selling as well as it has in the past, it still is the #1 selling mainstream comic book.
Well, yeah, I'm not even talking about comics so much as just merchandise.
Oh yeah, merchandise. Yeah, absolutely. Video games.
Everything. Yeah, like the billions. Like there's a big, huge gap between that and Batman and the Avengers, which is next. Yeah.
Guys, pardon me for 1 second, because whether or not we continue with this or go on to the next subject is all dependent on whether or not if Mary is still here. Are you still here, Mary?
I'm still here. I'm letting the beasts over here yuck it out. And I was also I gotta get my video uploaded for tomorrow, so I was working on that and kind of letting the boys hash it out. So
okay,
but I'm still
okay.
Here.
Well, all right. So because you told me you had like about 15 minutes left, so I want to start to the next story before you head out. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so the Robin Hood, the anthropomorphic Robin Hood. Yay. This is why I told you. I was like, oh, well, you already talked about it. So here's my thing. Instead of like about the fact of, furries and bestiality, why not? I'm just kind of.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Well, no, I'm saying we're not going to do that because that's kind of, as much as I'd love to terrorize Mary about that, that's.
You can terrorize them.
No. I'm not going to terror. No, I'm not going to.
Let's be clear. Just because she finds one animated creature, maybe two sexually attractive, does not make her a furry.
No, she's not. No. To be honest.
Just because she would ravage Beast does not mean that.
Oh my God.
I made that same joke to her. No.
And Andrew's just like, I'm not saying a fucking word.
Well, all right. Well, to be honest, I've met plenty of people who are not furries have a thing for like Chitara and Thundercats. So that's why I'm like, I'm willing to be. Hey, dude, there's some creepy shit about like Lola Bunny.
Right?
No, I'm totally cool. I have no
yeah.
issues with it. Like I said, I've been totally like on Mary's side with this, and my issue with the whole thing, which was made abundantly clear,
and
was the double standard. Yeah,
I agree with you there. I'm kind of curious in like what you guys think, because from what it sounds like it's not going to be necessarily like cats, but it seems like it's going to be something either more.
Though, visually speaking, that's the route they're taking. And look, you land into this sort of, especially with a movie that you're putting on Disney Plus. Okay, the budget is not going to be put into this to make this thing look anything other than super creepy. Okay,
I agree.
Reason animation works for this kind of stuff. The reason that animation works for this kind of stuff is because you can remove yourself enough from reality. And suspend your disbelief enough to immerse yourself in that world. When you combine real world with CG in order to put together these creepy looking bullshit thingy-majiggers and have them running around, humans with tails and buttholes hanging out, then you land into this really weird, creepy, uncanny valley.
Yeah, that's kind of ass.
Yep.
Oh, so you're going to do that to Robin Hood? You're going to do that to Robin Hood? That's what you're going to do to this beloved classic, this thing that spawned a generation of furries, right? That's what you're going to do to this beloved classic, the thing that made me question, were foxes hot? The thing that made a bajillion people ask themselves whether or not they could, in fact, get into it with a fox, right? You're going to do that with Robin Hood, this beloved classic that, look, they put so much time, energy, a lot of love went into this. They thought about this shit. If you're going to make Robin Hood an animal, what animal are you going to make him? A fox. Duh. So look, this thing is beloved by a lot of people, and it is in fact one of my favorite animated classics. And you're going to turn this into Cat's the Butthole rendition? That's what you're going to do with this? Okay. We didn't need it to begin with, but let's go this route and ensure that no one watches this abomination and waste a whole, I hope it burns to the ground.
How do you really feel about this, Mary?
Oh, Mary, I love you. So cool. I love having you on my show. So there's a lot to unpack. So going back to my animation background, what you're talking about is that there are levels between abstraction and realism.
Yes.
And what Disney has usually done in the past was something more along the lines of stylistic realism, like especially the Disney princesses.
The ability to remove yourself from reality just a little bit more. The suspension of disbelief is far more potent in an animated film, and you can believe an anthropomorphic animal.
Yeah,
you can buy the story. That's not what we're doing here, though.
Well, and like I pointed out too, the whole point of them doing this on Disney in the first place as an animated film was because it's an animated film. Why would you retranslate that to live action without just using actors?
For the same fucking reason they did with Lion King, Tom.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at least those look like real animals. There's a difference here.
No, they don't, Tom.
Willie wants
No,
to talk.
they don't.
Willie wants to talk. It's his channel.
This is gonna look like shit. You remember when Tears of War came out? And everybody was like, oh my God, it's like looking at your face. Do you remember that?
I'm on your side, Mary. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to point out here, like, the reasoning behind this and why it doesn't make any sense. This is going to be worse than Robin Hood Men in Tights, but it's going to be a joke, but not meant to be a joke. That's, the worst part.
Okay,
Poor Willie. Yeah, go ahead, Willie.
Sorry.
Remember to inhale.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, well, to be honest, I think they're going to do something more akin to what they did with the Lady and the Tramp live action remake, where they made
slap a moving mouth on a real dog.
More or less. That's
I think that's
I agree. It's not better.
It's wholly unnecessary.
And to be honest, they're best because all right, if they want to basically replace the 2D animated stuff with 3D animation, fine. They're stupid, but fine.
Just spending a whole lot of money for something that nobody's asking for.
Yeah, exactly. And if they did it more like Zootopia,
simultaneously not enough. Sorry. If you're gonna do it right.
If you're gonna do it like Zootopia. But because to be honest, I think they're thinking like, oh well, Our Lady and the Tramp, because they released that directly to Disney Plus, did okay, so we'll just do another lesser known classic.
I haven't seen that shit yet, and I don't.
At least in Lady and the Tramp, they used real animals, though. That I did see.
Well, yeah, and that's what it sounds like they're doing.
Use real animals to do this. You can't do that with this. This is anthropomorphic.
Even
They've got to get into sword fights and shit.
I'm going to argue you can't even do this like Zootopia. You want to know why? Because that's fucking stupid. And I don't mean to be, hurt anybody's feelings on that, but why are you going to take a 2D animated movie and make it a 3D animated movie? It makes no sense whatsoever. Because they're not doing that anyway.
Well, it's Disney. They are the king of recycling and regurgitation.
Quote-unquote, this is going to be quote-unquote live action, though, folks. This is not going to be Zootopia. Zootopia is an animated film. It's still an animated film in the sense that it's, it looks like
I want to address Kitty Bear in the chat. Kitty Bear, admit it, Mary, you would be hot for a foxy Andrew Robin Hood. I would be hot for anything, Andrew. Robin Hood, fox or no, okay? That's not a point. You're not making a point, all right? You're
No, I get where Mary's coming from. It's how they presented the character. It's how it was, there's a lot of aspects of the character, not just the physical aspects that got you attracted to it.
Attitude.
It's the story,
right?
The story and the attitude.
The story you realize is look. Remember, let's go down a little journey. Okay, let's take a journey. Go with me down memory lane. And remember, Robin Hood, remember when you watched it and you saw Maid Marian and she was spinning around in the room and she was talking about, oh, Clucky, but when? And she's like, soon, my love. And she's so excited because she's in love and she misses Robin Hood. And then it pans over to Robin Hood and he's like, la da da, and he's burning the soup and he's in love. And you remember immediately feeling the passion and the love and the kinship that had been growing for since their childhood. They were childhood romance, right? What the hell, Andrew?
Fox Andrew is what.
Andrew, okay.
But you're saying, Mary, it was the way the relationship.
We're going on.
No, but you're right. It is one of the Robin Hood and Maid Marian is as old as Romeo and Juliet. It's one of the oldest love stories of all time.
That iteration, okay, that particular iteration, first of all, it's the first one any of us were introduced to, right? And not only is it the first one that any of us were introduced to, but it's solid to boot, right? Despite the fact that none of these animals that are running around are wearing pants, okay?
That is true. They are Donald ducking.
That's probably why your genitals were all confused.
None of these animals are wearing pants.
Like Mary sees
we're
that.
all good with this. We're all good with
Mary sees, oh, get to wear pants and they can get away with it. I want to be like that too.
I refuse to wear pants as much as humanly possible since seeing this movie. Okay,
lolly oodle lolly golly, what a day.
The standard has been set, people. All right.
Sorry,
Fuck those. Fuck those pants. I don't need
those
them.
pants.
Robin Hood doesn't need them. Neither do I. All right. Remember that trip down memory lane with me. Remember that movie? It's just as good today as it was when you were a kid. You don't need a new one, let alone one that has this weird combination of actual people and CGI and cat buttholes. You don't need it because you still have what already exists. It's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. You can leave the world behind and go enjoy it for an hour and 10 minutes. And you can go and watch that movie. You don't need a new one. Yes, they are free balling.
Especially that chicken lady.
Clucky.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tom Petty doing the soundtrack for Mary's movie. What movie? Oh, Free Balling. Gotcha. Never mind. Took me a moment. Free balling.
I ain't got no balls. I don't have any balls, guys. I'm sorry. It doesn't apply to me.
I think Andrew's very happy about that.
Did you
can confirm.
Honestly, I mean, Mary's nailing everything dead on. And as a boy, we're growing up, there's only a few Disney movies that really kind of as a boy you can kind of relate to. And them are basically Robin Hood, Fox and the Hound, Jungle Book, maybe 101 Dalmatians, and of course
Aladdin.
Well, that was later on. I was already an adult, almost an adult by the time Aladdin came out. That's the thing. Is later on there's a little bit more.
Tom, you're old.
I know I'm old. Well, then eventually you got Hercules and you got a few other ones.
Aladdin was the first film I saw in theater, okay?
But when you're younger, the ratio to boy type, because like I'd watch Sleeping Beauty, but I'd fast forward to the end just to see the dragon. Sleeping Booty.
Tom
is a Sleeping Booty.
Sleeping Booty is my girlfriend.
He was going to take that booty while she was asleep. No consent form signed. Just going to go for it, Tom.
It's all right, though. We were role playing and I was a dolphin. So I had prior consent.
Shit. Like dolphins don't need consent. That only people do.
So long, and thanks for all the sex.
That's not a blowhole, Tom. That's not a blowhole.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But no, like, even as a kid, Sleeping Beauty, I would fast forward to the part with the dragon. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing else in that movie that... Cinderella, not my thing.
No.
You know? Snow White, I didn't watch it till I was an adult. Full disclosure.
I'll be honest with My mom bought so many of the Disney movies when they were released on video cassette, and I would watch them with her. Like I'd seen Pinocchio, like I watched, like I'd watch them with her over and over again. But I'll be honest, it's like Disney didn't really.
Badass.
Pinocchio, the most badass part in Pinocchio is the part where everyone
turns into fucking donkeys.
Exactly. But no, what always pisses me off is you hear all these fucking pussies just straight up be like, "Oh, that's too horrifying for children."
It was, man, but it was cool.
They are a bunch of. They need to grow some balls.
Not only that, fucking Pinocchio smoking and shit.
Yeah, I didn't mind that.
Drinking.
Yeah, but I mean, like that was like that because like that was like in Fantasia. Balder Mountain was the best part of that movie.
You want to know the honest to gosh truth? Until I was like a teenager, probably, or at least not a teenager, at least old enough to really realize that it wasn't true. It was because of Pinocchio. I never bothered trying any alcohol or smoking or nothing like that when I was a kid. I thought I was going to turn into a motherfucking donkey.
Well, like I heard in an interview.
It did. It sure fucking did.
Like I heard in an interview, like Joe Dante said he loved that scene in Pinocchio because it was just like any like werewolf transformation scene, and it's like, yes, you're right, and it's like that scary scene in Snow White. That was like, I went with my mom to see that when they re-released it in theaters, and it's like I was bored throughout that movie except that part, like until they got to that part. I was like, yeah, this is cool. More scary shit.
And it's just, think back to the impact of that. Do you remember, even though it's in shadow, right? It's in shadow when it's happening. Think back to the impact of that. You remember being completely horrified. Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Well,
Holy, like literally.
I was excited. I got interested.
Okay.
I
You're
like,
a boy. All right, you're a boy, but you remember back to that.
I'm
scene
all
where
man, baby. No,
no, but I'm not kidding. That motherfucker. I know it's a jackass. I'm sorry.
Blah, 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 man. Okay, so remember back to that scene where you first experienced it, right? It didn't lose any of its weight or gravitas because it went down in shadow. And that was the power of Disney. They knew exactly what to show, when to show, and how much to show, right? And they knew how to make this almost grotesque scene come to life in front of you. You knew exactly what the hell was happening, and you were terrified nonetheless, even though it was in shadow, right? You can't improve on that. You don't need to try to improve on that. Leave it alone. These things still exist. They're not going anywhere, and people still find them beloved. So show the original shit to your kids, all right? Creep them out a little bit when the kid turns into a donkey on the screen, okay? Go
That
for
shit
it.
works.
It absolutely works. Still to this day. Still to this day, this stuff is potent and it resonates with people. Show the original shit to your kid. I don't need Cats the movie's butthole on
Fucking
screen.
A right.
Enjoy this stuff.
Hashtag Jiminy Cricket was right.
Okay. So
Which time?
What?
All the time.
Oh.
You listen to that fucker. He is right. 100%. He's Pinocchio. Don't do this. Pinocchio, better not do that. Pinocchio, we better get home. Fucker, don't listen. He squishes him in the original book because he's sick of him bitching at him.
That's because the original Grimm fairy tales are freaking
No,
dark.
Pinocchio wasn't a Grimm fairy tale.
But no, look.
It was based on an Italian story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie was released, Robin Hood specifically, was released over a decade before I was born. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And hold on, let me double check the year on when Pinocchio was released, because maybe that's not.
Pinocchio was the second live action movie they created, so I was like the 1930s, or
Yes,
not,
okay, so
40s. Sorry.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. We'll find out exactly what it is. Okay, so it was released in 1940. Pinocchio was released nearly 50 years before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I remember watching that movie as a child and being scared shitless. Okay. I remember absorbing the movie as a whole. I remember enjoying the underwater scene where he was with the fish and going, well, that's fucking magical, right? I remember being in the whale. I remember being terrified while they were trying to get away from it. And then Pinocchio's dead. Fuck, Mom, Pinocchio's dead. How do you kill wood? I don't understand. I have questions. I was invested. I was invested in this film, and it's released nearly
I've got
50
jokes.
I do too.
I was invested in this film. It released nearly 50 years before I was born. Okay. These things are timeless. We don't need another version of these movies. They are timeless. They do still work. Put that shit in the Blu-ray player for your kid and call it handled.
Or turn it on Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus.
Exactly. Or we can hand them recycled garbage. A hollow replica of the thing that once had weight, but you've now decided to diminish by popping out a bunch of extra versions of out there, right? Let's go ahead and destroy the timelessness of these films by diminishing them with remakes.
I mean, look at it this way.
Your brand, Disney. Stop it.
Like Willie. Yeah, like Willie just said, the scene in Joe Dante's Howling, the transformation scene, was directly influenced by Pinocchio. That is no joke. I've heard him say that several times. You know, that's the power that had, the impact that had. You know, I mean, look at like how many punk bands were made because Bambi's mom got shot.
I don't know that. I didn't know punk bands were made from that.
I haven't done the research.
I bet you if you do the research, you go back and Sid Vicious is like, this all started when they killed Bambi's fucking mother.
Well,
You know,
all
something
right.
like that.
So
I'm just
I mean,
joking, but
here's
so.
no. I know. Here.
Oh, did
Uh-oh.
Willie freeze for anyone else?
We got 8-bit Willie.
It's frozen.
Not even 8-bit, just straight up frozen.
That's more
Let it
16-bit.
go,
Yeah.
Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore.
Darksider, I'm gonna say 3. This is because they shot Bambi's fucking mother. Fuck you!
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't listen to punk rock or anything like that.
It's like, you know,
But
I can
look-
imagine a little kid seeing that shit. That would darken their whole fucking world, man.
You remember that? Look, this, and it's not just those older ones, right?
You
Like,
know who
like,
shot
I
Bambi's
still-
mother, don't you? It's been
Freaking,
confirmed. We lost
Wait,
our
what?
host. It's been confirmed. I'm not kidding. Who shot Bambi's mother?
Who?
Judge Dredd or Judge Doom did. I'm not kidding. Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit killed her. That's the
Oh my
official
God.
story now. Yes.
Are
'Cause
you
it's-
serious?
I am dead fucking serious. Because
Where did you
Bullshit.
I got this from Gary Wolf, the guy who wrote, who censored Roger Rabbit. No shit. Judge Doom is the guy who killed Bambi's mother. He killed Eddie's brother and he killed Bambi's mother.
What the hell? This is information I did not have in my repertoire before tonight, Tom,
Yeah,
and that's
Judge
very
Doom.
difficult.
Because remember, he was a crazy fucking tune.
No,
Because I'd
I
heard the theory that it was Gaston that didn't, but I never bought into that.
Nope,
Yeah, I
nope,
heard
it
the
was Judge Doom.
I totally heard the Gaston theory. Of course, you can't prove that or whatever. But I'd never heard that. You're gonna have to like. I can't just.
I'll find it somewhere. Yeah, he's official. He said that.
Rhetoric here, dude.
He
Cite
has
your
said that.
sources.
Gary
And,
Wolf.
Well, what I mean is, let me see it. I need to see
I'll
it. You
try
have
and
to send
find it. It's somewheres. But yeah.
But yeah, that's freaking crazy. But no, like think back to that. Like, okay, so think back to that. And like I feel like I'll go
obviously
ahead
it didn't happen at the time in the movie. It was just a hunter. But since then, that was the whole thing with the aura of Judge Doom. is
Well, the
that he's
name of the
murdered-
character was just Man.
Yeah.
man
But
is
it's
in
just
the-
to
Man-
add to
Man
it
was
was
the
just to
villain.
add to Judge Doom's evilness, basically, of his characters, that he's the one who shot Bambi's mother and killed Eddie's brother and all these other characters and shit. Yeah.
So think back and it's not a secret which one is my favorite Disney film. It's Beauty and the Beast, right? The animated. But think back to that, right? Think back to your favorite Disney animated film, right? Like
Pinocchio.
so for Tom, it's Pinocchio. What is it for you, Andrew?
Aladdin.
The animated Aladdin. Okay. All of those movies are timeless. And that can be said of countless Disney animated films. There is no way in hell that any of the animated films that have been mentioned here tonight will in 50, 100 years from now, barring Disney shooting themselves in the foot with it, will not still resonate, will not still impact children of all ages, right? Because they were done well and correct the first time. And if you do something right the first time, it doesn't need to be redone. You don't have to redo it. What was it? It's a little mantra I used to live by. It's this slow is steady and steady is fast, right? Do something well, do something properly, do something with heart and integrity and good intent the first time.
Well, that's
And
the mantra Disney lived by, basically.
It was. Now we got to crank out remakes every 2 seconds.
Welcome back to your own show.
I know. Sorry, I had to. It was taking me a while to get back in.
No,
That's all right. We carried it for you. We're professionals.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries, man.
So what I was trying to say, Mary, was that okay? At that time, horror movies were considered a thing for kids, and so it makes sense why Disney would.
We lost him again.
Uh-oh.
Something about horror movies. I don't know where he was going with this. I don't know.
I think I kind of do. A lot of the Universal horror movies, especially when they got
like
to
Return to Oz. I remember that.
Well, that was in the 80s, but no, like when you get to the House of Frankenstein and the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein type movies and shit like that. Those are definitely for kids at that point. And of course, all the classic or Universal horror films were made for just about everybody. Poor Willie's having some internet issues and a half tonight.
Aww, poor guy.
Well, he's in the Bay Area, California. They don't have good internet there at all.
Ugh. Well, the internet has been
from 20 years experience.
Well, not only that, I've noticed in the last week or two the load that the internet is bearing with everybody being home has really been noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think that's kind of where he was going with it. And Disney was a genius when it came to. He took a long time to make his movies, like Mary was saying too. And fuck, it took him what, 3, almost more than that years to make Snow White.
Some of them took decades for him to make.
Well, yeah, in the development phase, but I mean the actual when it started from the animation phase, like I think Snow White took forever, didn't it? Like 3 years almost.
Yes. And they couldn't pump them out very quickly, right? Because they just didn't have the resources.
Well, everything was hand drawn back then.
Well, not only that, but like you couldn't like mitigate tasks to different people, right? Because he has a smaller crew that he's working with. He's trying to.
Well, not only that, they were inventing a lot of the technologies they were going along too.
Right.
That was the other thing, like the double planes and all that shit. Yeah.
Flying by the seat of their pants.
Sleeping Beauty almost murdered the freaking studio because of how incredibly expensive it was to make because of the route that they took to make it, right? Because it's placed on, I can't remember all the exact terminology, but it's everything is this whole different like sort of widescreen.
Yeah, that's this. They filmed it in extreme scope, and that was the first animated film to ever be in widescreen. So instead of just like the standard, they had to it was a lot more work.
Insane for them. It was absolutely, and Sleeping Beauty nearly screwed the studio. And still, but still to this day, it's a beautiful movie to watch.
I love that movie.
Like obviously Aurora could have used, I don't know, some personality. That would have been good.
Yeah, she's like the least personality of all the Disney princesses. That's for sure.
She was kind of like a sexy lamp, right?
She's kind of a snooze. I'm just.
That's a Stieg joke right there.
She was sort of a sexy lamp, right? She just sort of sits there and she makes everything a little bit prettier and brighter. But the fairies are the real heroines of that story, right? And they're well fleshed out. They're done incredibly well. And so that movie in and of itself, it took forever for them to make. It was insanely, that's why they never did another one like it, was because it was just way too damn expensive.
Well, not until Black Cauldron and the same results, basically.
I freaking love Black Cauldron.
I
do too, but it was it was a weird how it's almost parallel with Sleeping Beauty in that the amount of work and effort and it was almost the same kind of result in a way, but only
hell for ages.
Yeah. Well, I wish they've lost most of. Hey, Willie, you're back.
Willie?
Yeah, sorry guys, I got kicked out again.
But just to finish what I was about to say, they've lost most of, or not lost, but they destroyed, from what I heard, most of the deleted scenes from
yes.
Black Cauldron, so we'll never get to see
and
them.
there are arguments to be made about how much better that movie would be if they'd had all that stuff in there. But I still look, and I love the movie. I
do too, yeah.
But even if they had kept all of that stuff, you still have Taron as a main protagonist. He's a little shit. So and look, I love Gurgi and I love Piggy. Gurgi. Oh, dude! Fun fact. You ready for this? My brother, when we make out our Christmas packages, our nicknames for each other, he's Gurgi and I'm Piggy. It's true. We still make out our
a Disney head.
She is.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like Disney is your. Oh yeah. Anyway, you got like Disney tattooed on you somewhere.
You have.
She's a Disney nerd.
You have no idea. I'm a complete Disney nerd. I have owned the Disney Seen It game. I don't know, I was like 21 or so, and I guess like 13, 14 years I've owned this game. I've played it countless times. I have never lost, and I never will. Okay, I will beat you. I will beat your mother. I will beat everyone that you know and love in this game. I know Disney like the back of my hand. I am so incredibly invested in it. So yes, there's not
challenge accepted.
Good luck, sucker. You're
bring
fun.
it.
Outside of maybe some of the other women in the Fandom Menace, I'm probably one of the only people who could probably even come close to putting Mary in any kind of competition for Diz nerdness, and I'd still get my ass handed to me.
I wouldn't even begin to attempt it. I'd be far too terrified.
I might, but I will.
That would be murdered in cold blood, right out in the open, broad daylight.
I am stupid enough. I'm competitive enough, and I give zero fucks enough to where I will challenge you. I might lose. I mean,
I appreciate it. I think that's stunning and brave, Willie. But
you, my dear, are going down.
Willie, my dear,
anytime, anywhere.
I want to think this through. Okay, you are talking to a woman who, for a solid decade, and may very well still be able to get through probably a good half of it, can quote the entire animated Peter Pan movie from beginning to end verbatim, including sound effects. Okay.
I'm sure you could because you're a codfish, but still, I would take you on, and I would probably win.
No.
Anytime, anywhere, bring it.
Oh, honey.
Enough said.
Oh, honey. You know what? Confidence is attractive on a guy. So I'm not going to shoot you down. I'm going to let you.
God, that's the challenge. Anytime, anywhere, you can put your money where your mouth is. You know where to find me.
I put my money where my let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. Now?
I don't care. Bring it.
Culture Casino seems to have a pretty good. I mean, if he's right about some of the stuff he said, he's got a pretty good Disney.
I will go head to head with Mary on dinner. On dinner. Y'all know nothing about the sun.
Okay.
All right.
When was Disney born?
1919, want to say.
Mary's taking forever.
Dude, Mary,
what?
if you and or Andrew ever make it out to the Bay Area, I would
I spent over 20 years there. I got no desire to go back.
Well, I know I would love to take you guys to the Walt Disney Museum in San Francisco.
I
was just gonna say, I'll tell you what, I'll set up the Disney. Well, if Mary wants it on her channel, whoever's channel, wherever, I don't care. I'll be the host. I'll get the questions together.
Yeah,
because I know enough about it to where I think I could get questions.
Because to be honest, it was like as soon as it seemed like, yeah, let's do it right now. I'm like, how are we gonna do
Disney,
this?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go dig out my Disney Seen It.
I'm down to do that. I'm down to do it.
I feel like if I got into the house and dug out my Disney Seen It, and I could like literally share the DVD version of it, we could go head to head, and that would be fun. That could be fun.
All right,
maybe do that. Otherwise, I'm confident enough in myself that I could come up with enough questions and put something together.
Yeah, I'll. Yeah.
All right.
time and place. But all right, guys, before I tempt fate again and get kicked out of my own stream, I think we should close it because I know it's also really late for you guys. So
What? It's early.
It's almost 1:30 in the morning for
I
me.
know. I'm just
Yeah.
being shit.
Well, you know what's funny is like because like when I was trying to quote the time, because I knew you were in Wisconsin. I mean, you said it in another stream, so I hope that's not doxing.
Doxed. No,
But it's like I tried to.
I'm more
like,
embarrassed by it than anything.
Respect.
Oh, thank you, culture, because I'm narcissistic enough to where I'll show that. All right. But I tried figuring out what time zone what Mary was, because I figured it was around your time. And when I was asking her to come on the show, I'm like, yeah, I'll be here like around this time. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like, like I'll be at Toxic Femininity. I'm, like,
I'm Eastern. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm Pacific.
Toxic
Yeah.
femininity
3
every
hours
Monday
later.
night.
Yeah.
Kitty
3 hours
bear.
later than me.
If you're lucky, there may be free ladies mud wrestling. Maybe not. I don't know.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
I
if the
cannot
ladies in
guarantee it.
Toxic Femininity
Don't
did a
know it's
mud
not
wrestling.
gonna happen.
I love you, but I'm not mud
You don't
wrestling.
know it's not gonna happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just saying you don't know it's not going to happen.
Okay. I'm gonna have very nice dreams tonight. Thank you, Tom. Anyway, all right. So let's just head out, guys. Before you go, please be so kind as to pimp out whatever you want. Also, too, Tom, if you want, because I wanted to put let me know what you want me to put in the link, in a link for you.
You can just put meat if you want to. Don't matter. That's fine.
Okay. But anyway, pimp your stuff out, guys. Have at it.
Well, I'll go last while I'm doing these elements.
All right. Well, check out these fine people first and foremost, but you can find me at, the regular spots. Otherwise, I hang out in all kinds of crazy places. I probably spend most of my time outside of Midnight's Edge at Mary's house.
Yeah.
And that's where we do shenanigans and karaoke. And then once in a great while, she'll have me on that other show she does and stuff.
Shenanigans? Oh, Wednesday.
No, Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday Night Mayhem's fun. So, yeah.
So that's a good segue for that. Yeah. And Andrew's there sometimes.
I am there sometimes as well on both shenanigans and karaoke, but you can find me at Caffeinated Wolf on both YouTube and Twitch, and you can find me at Caffeinated CBS, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm a writer and editor for geeksandgamers.com, so check me out on there as well.
All right, hold on. I'm going to do the whole spiel here as soon as I find
Oh, here she goes.
All right, hold on. There we go. All right, back on camera. I believe my video's done uploading, so now I can be on camera and hopefully not be super pixelated. Hi, guys. I am Mary B. I am the Mistress of Mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official whaling card holder as well as furry. You can find me over on my channel, Mary Mayhem, where I talk about newsy news stuff. You can also find me over on Midnight's Edge for Toxic Femininity, as well as Geeks and Gamers. So, yeah, hopefully you guys can.
She's embraced it, folks.
I am a furry.
So I'm sorry, Andrew.
I had you there. I had you, but then you.
All right, you know what? I'm owning it. I'm just gonna own it.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to own it.
I'm
One animated creature does not make you a furry.
I'm
Two
nailing Andrew. Ears and tail.
So much fun.
Furry mayhem.
I'm gonna hop around like a little bunny. Okay, I'm gonna get a bunny tail and he's gonna have a fox tail, and we're gonna make little fox rabbit babies. It's gonna be great.
I am so fucking confused. My genitals don't know what to do.
My genitals are confused as well.
All I know is that Willie is like a super fan and he's got a channel now. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you're new here just because you followed one of our links, do make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And any of our subscribers are much appreciated, as well as any and all people who are in the chat. Thank you for taking your time to watch this, our humble show, and we hope we entertain you. So
That's what I was laughing at before. Furry mayhem.
Furry mayhem.
I'm the cutest bunny ever.
Anyway, take care, guys, and stay safe, stay healthy.
Night.
Night.
Or good morning.
podcast.